always ask, especially like models, I always ask, what was your first modeling job? I was curious.
My first modeling job for Chen 1, it was for their 70% sale campaign. I had never modeled professionally in my life, and I was shocked that somebody wanted to pay me to take my picture.
A little birdie's told me that you actually run your own household. Like you pretty much run it.
The thing is that I feel growing up for me, that hasn't been so much of a novel concept because my mother and my sister have been that with me before me, still are. My mother kind of ran our household. She put 3 children through school, college, allowed us to live our dreams. My sister has just been this infinitely supportive woman. Like, she's worked her butt off. She has, you know, they've just been like that. And it's never been so much of a decision, okay, oh, I'm going to do this. And there's not a lot of patting yourself on the back. That's just life. That's how we function. And I think it's the same for a lot of women in fashion.
Last thing you ate that you absolutely loved?
I had dinner at CFU in Karachi, and I had possibly one of the best pieces of fish I have ever had in my life. I had their seafood platter, and it was this salmon with garlic butter, and oh my God, like I almost cried. I'm one of those people who cries when I eat food. I'm very emotional about food. I'm really like, yeah, I'm like, people are like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, it's beautiful. The most recent thing though is हमारी घर की tradition है कि हम Sunday को सारे मिलके निहारी खाते हैं.
Maybe. हमारा भी हर Sunday निहारी.
Every Sunday, and it comes in from the शहर.
Same.
And we call it असली निहारी.
हाँ, असली निहारी. हाजी निहारी.
हाजी निहारी. Yes. That is the only real nihari out there. You must try it.
Yes. Craziest holiday you've ever been on?
Craziest holiday I've ever been on. Well, me and my friends a couple of years ago, we went to the Guns N' Roses concert in Dubai. I had never been to a live concert internationally before. I had never been to Dubai before. I never traveled with my friends before, and it was just, it was 5 different types of insanity. And you know, it was just incredible because Guns N' Roses is like some of the first music I remember listening to, because my big brother was in a band and he used to play Guns N' Roses and Pearl Jam and all those things. So for me, it was a real dream come true
yeah.
to see them live, because I never thought that I would be able to do that.
Acha, what's the wildest thing on your bucket list?
I did paragliding a few years ago. It is on my bucket list to fly across the salt range at some point, but I'm going to have to take a course for that. I took a mini course to do the small flight, and I loved it. It is like no other feeling in the world. It is the one thing I felt that I couldn't do, and I have a fear of heights and flying and general anxiety. So for me, it's really empowering to just be in the air.
Who's the most real person you've met in the industry?
Iman Suleiman.
I knew that answer.
But I met her before the industry, so that doesn't really count. I find Sahifa can be very real. That's really nice. Rubab is the hands-down realest person I've met. She has no attitude. She laughs loudly. She's herself all the time, and she's been like that since the day I met her on set.
I know you love your cats.
I love my cats.
How many cats do you have?
I've had a lot of cats over the years. हमारा वो वाला घर होता था जो गली में, you know, सब बिल्लियाँ पालता है. At one point when I was younger, I've had 9 cats, maybe 7 or 8. So just like in and out of the house. I love collecting animal friends of all sorts.
Animal friends of all
sorts. Right now I have 2 babies. They're not babies anymore, but they're my babies. And they're just hilarious. They're both such personalities. One of them has anxiety like me, so we really get along. You know how they say animals kind of adopt the personalities of the people they're living with?
Yeah.
So there's one that's closer to my sister, the boy. And you know, he's kind of like loungy and comfortable and like always looking for snacks. And there's this twitchy little girl who's just like, you know, she'll be sitting normally and all of a sudden she'll be like, I'll be like, I get it. I get it. Everybody in the house is kind of annoyed with her because she has a bit of a pee-pee problem right now. Oh. But I'm like, I understand. It's not your fault. You're just stressed out. She's very picky. She doesn't hang out with people so much. And it's not because they're not loving. A lot of people say this about cats that they're not very... I think you just need to get to know animals. You need to bother to speak their language, get to know their personality. I don't think it's a matter of, oh, ye to attitude wale hain.
How has your height worked against you and in your favor in this industry?
I feel like my height is something that other people have been more complexed about than I have.
Yeah, I feel it because I know that. Like, I feel that people have.
No, like every person in the industry, every person I have worked with at some point has come up to me and said, "Hi, kash tum lambi hoti, tum kya ban jate?"
The one thing that you feel people around us, like general society in Pakistan, have lost sight of?
Oh, so much. I think they've lost sight of a lot of context. Like, we don't contextualize things anymore in terms of our history, our future, our people. I think that's a very big problem, that we have a very fixed idea of what Pakistan is and what Pakistanis are and should be, and I don't think that's fair. I think that there should be variations, and the whole point is for a country to encourage people to be whoever they are. And that's what makes an identity.
What are the 3 things that you cannot stand about Pakistani society?
We're very poor tippers. That's one of my pet peeves. We're like, as a society, I've just seen even very wealthy, affluent people be very poor tippers. We're really, really bad to like table staff, wait staff, help. That is just generally a very big problem.
Where do you feel feminism has gone too far? Like, it has. There are things that have gone too far and too haywire. Where do you think?
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I think that we are taking, again, things out of context, and we're not associating.
No. I'm talking about theoretically. I'm not talking about whether there's like, like the woman who's like, I'm not going to wear a pad, or I'm not going to shave my armpits. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about fundamentally.
Fundamentally, I think that something that people don't understand about feminism is that there's varying schools of thought, and each school of thought has to be given equal respect, because you have to see where that person is coming from. And I don't think that feminism should be looked at as this kind of one homogenous thing that everybody obviously believes the same thing and thinks the same thing. Yeah. I think that there are varying degrees of it, but I think that once you put somebody's personal struggle into context, that those don't seem so out there anymore. Yeah. I understand where they're coming from. So I don't really agree with the fact that it's going too far, especially not in Pakistan. It's not going far enough.
When you're picking up a project, what's the most important thing to you when you're working with a brand or a...
Well, I always, first of all, look at how they approach me, how they call me, the language they use. I like working with very professional people. I don't like people who are casual when they're booking you for work. I think it's just the worst foot to start.